Hello and welcome back to Legend of the Stars Tournament 3, qualifying tournament number 3. We are continuing our coverage here. We're actually going to jump into Mephi versus Morax. Right now we are on good lands once again. We just saw Blodear go down to Nexus of Reality. That is no good for what is a very high rated player, so hopefully he is able to come back. Of course, this is a double elimination tournament, which means once you are beaten, you drop down into the bottom bracket, you still have a chance to come back and win the finals potentially, so you can take out the bottom bracket, come back into the finals. All right, we're going to go straight in now to Goodlands once again. We're going to see how Mephi and Morax are going to get on this map. Okay, here we go. What is our player placement this time? We have got Morax in the north. He is going to go for Cybran. He is actually going to get the double adjacency on that first land factory, and then he's going to go and throw down 2 power generators. So that's going to give him quite a lot of energy to start with, but a little bit less mass. All right, let's check in with Fresh McEgg, who happens to also be Mephi. He has gone UEF. He is going to actually go land and then second land as well. Neither of these guys really focusing on the Hydro. We can see just the number of Tech 1 power generators that Mephi is going to throw down there. That means he is not going to be heading off for the Hydro for a good long while. All right. Let's see how. Well, there's just a little bit of chat there that's very interesting. I think this is the wrong version. They might be on the wrong version of the map. I don't think they're on the wrong version of the map. I think they are fine. All right, we have got an engineer out on reclaim duty there for Morax. Now he's going to go and grab a ton of manual reclaim before going after the Hydro. So Morax actually cancelling one of those build P-gens in his order, and he's going to go for just a single power generator, and then that Hydro will be underway reasonably soon. He probably wants to dedicate a little bit more engineering to that, and that is exactly what is happening now because his ACU is on the way to assist. He's going to go and throw down that Hydro. He has another engineer out, and interestingly, he looks like he's going to actually start a second Hydro before he has finished the first. I'm not sure if he's going to get that one completed at this rate. Mephi has also opted for a few less power generators up the top. He's come down and he's going to grab that Hydro. Then he's going to wrap that up with an air factory and a stack of power generators. That's a very interesting layout indeed. That will mean though that he gets his air factory underway. He will be able to get some scouting, maybe some interceptors, maybe some bombers. We shall see. First little bit of combat capability hitting the field. We've got a hunter out there. There is a mole as well. So Morax getting a mole out, that'll give him a little bit of radar coverage. He'll be able to use that to see if there are any pesky bombers on their way from Mephi, because he doesn't have the luxury of seeing the entire map like we can. That is still going to be a wee way off. That air factory just sitting at about 25%. Right, Morax is going to come and capture this expansion with an engineer. He has not actually got any plans to come across this side yet. I do not know whether he's going to move his ACU across. Maybe he's going to grab some engineers, but he probably needs to get some orders out and start thinking about capturing that pretty quickly. And Mephi, still nothing from him either, so no engineering orders out for these expansions, and that is going to be a little bit slower. We saw a little bit of a contrast there in that last game with Nexus and Blodear, both a little bit higher rated, I think, and they had a lot more early build orders out, able to grab those expansions very, very quickly. Mephi going very nicely with a quadruple double adjacency here on the land factories. That is going to be a nice basis for land spam. That is going to give him a pretty good output in the early game. He's currently sitting only on 9 mass per tick though, which is not even close to being able to run 4 land factories. In fact, is he stalling? Yeah, he is just about on the breadline there. So he's definitely needing a little bit more. He's actually opting to fill his coffers with all of this reclaim right now, which I'm not sure if there was so much reclaim on the other map. Perhaps this is a slightly different version. Alright, we've got a bunch of Mantis out now for Morax. They look like that is a little bit of a war party. It looks like they're probably looking to go and cause a little bit of damage. Unfortunately, they are going right underneath this air scout here for Mephi. They are going to be spotted. Mephi will know that he needs to respond, and he's actually got some tanks, some strikers, because he is UEF heading out that way already. And by the time these Mantis can get there, there probably will be enough of a striker presence to ward him off. Very big, actually, very big differential in incomes for this stage of the game. 11 to Mephi and 17 to Morax, which is not quite what I expected. Morax just being a little bit faster here at grabbing these expansions and making it count. He is getting a little bit of an eco lead. Still no plans for this side of the map though, so Mephi is aware of that. He will be aware that he's probably slightly behind on eco because of the amount of scouting he's done, but these over here are very, very vacant looking. That's going to make Mephi very pleased indeed. Alright, we can see these Mantis are trying to make their way around, and actually it looks like a little bit of a misstep there from Mephi. He has not actually got any radar coverage at all on this side of the map just yet, and those strikers are sitting idly by while the Mantis are making their way right around the back. They will not actually be able to find any engineers to pick up around the back though, because there are nothing but a couple of strikers in there. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of a battle in the center here. A few Mantis and a few strikers. Not a huge amount, nothing to write home about. The scout does go down. That takes away Mephi's radar coverage once again. He's pretty much relying right now on the radar that the scout is providing, so the intermittent radar blips as that flies overhead is all he has got to see. He is now aware that he finally brought an engineer out, only to have it killed, and those Mantis get away almost scot-free just for the minute. They are going to run into a whole lot of tanks pretty soon, but Morax is actually doing a nice job of getting a whole lot of little raiding parties together, bringing them down, and well, actually those Mantis will survive. They are going to be able to run around the back and just keep causing all sorts of problems for the expansion here for Mephi. Mephi is managing to catch up in eco though. He's now up to 33, just ticked over 33, the same as Morax. So these guys pretty much running neck and neck. They have taken 2 extra expansions each, and this is just a little bit of an icing on the cake. Well, actually no, that is just slightly behind there for Morax. The difference is that he's got these mixes in the back here. Still hasn't completely contained this second expansion. A very nice force over on the right here from Mephi. They look like they could get in and cause a little bit of damage. There is not a lot of concentrated fire on the right hand side. If he was to bring those up and take on these little groups of Mantis one by one, he could do a very, very good job. But we can just see the massive amount of Mantis which are just making their way towards the right side of the map. It looks like Morax actually grabbed every single combat unit on the map and gave him an order to head across to the right to head off what Mephi is doing. That's actually going to perhaps leave his commander just a little bit vulnerable up here. He's actually throwing down a factory. That's going to be for an attack move with engineers that will be pulling in a stack of reclaim for him if he can keep it alive. Alright, the Mantis are moving in. They are taking care of the strikers that Mephi had sent up. He's going to outnumber Mephi quite handily on the right hand side here, but he is going to be still pretty open on the left. Right now, I'm not sure if Mephi can actually see it, but Mephi, if he was to bring his ACU up and all of these strikers as well, that would be enough to take out Morax's ACU. That would make all of the difference. He would actually be able to get a win right now. He does actually have a scout overhead. Let's have a look at it from his perspective. He doesn't actually have eyes on that. He's probably aware that it is the ACU, and he will in just a second anyway as he flies over the top, and there we go. So he is aware that the ACU is up there with not a lot of support. Are we going to see a little bit of an offensive here from Mephi to come in and try and deal some damage to Morax's ACU? I'm not sure if we are. Yes, we are. That is exactly what we're going to see. And Morax actually wants to be very careful that he doesn't get caught out here and trapped around the other side of this cliff. If he gets a bunch of units around his feet, he could get his pathfinding messed up. That could cause him all sorts of trouble, and Morax definitely does not want to be caught up at 7 minutes into the game and destroyed from a little bit of a misstep like that. It looks like he's bringing in enough support, though. He has got a half a dozen Mantis coming to back him up. Not as many as there are strikers down here for Mephi, but he may have enough to keep that ACU alive. Actually, Mephi's ACU taking quite a bit of damage down into the yellow. That is getting a lot of damage poured onto it. Down to 8k HP. That is all sorts of trouble Mephi just having to back on up. He was just a little bit slow there at bringing those units into support. Very, very slow indeed. Alright, he has managed to mop up most of those Mantis. He is still down to 7,100 HP though, and he does have another stack of them coming in to worry about. Fortunately, he did actually throw down a Tick 1 point defense. That is going to be very, very handy for taking out Mantis. The nearest Medusa is back here. It's probably going to die to these strikers any second now, and that is going to be the end of this push from Morax. Alright, Mephi just gathering another little bit of an assault force by the looks of it. On the right hand side here, he's got a slight numerical advantage. There are no point defense in the way of him advancing. There is one currently being built. It's only about a third complete though, so that is a wee way off. But if Mephi is a little bit too slow, he's actually going to find that there are enough reinforcements coming in from Morax to be able to deal with him, and it looks like that is exactly what's going to happen. There are another couple of squads coming in here. All in all, there's probably enough of a numerical advantage there for Morax to take out Mephi and leave some more reclaim. Where is all the reclaim sitting? Well, there's a whole stack down here that was left to Mephi that is definitely within Mephi's zone of control. We've got a stack in the center, which is, well, pretty contested right now. They're engineering out for both of these parties. There's just a little bit more force online for Mephi. And over here, it looks like Mephi is going to get beaten back. There are enough Mantis online. They have all been brought in to repel this assault. That is going to be a successful defense there. Looks like Mephi is going to pull those tanks back. I'm not sure how many of those are going to actually survive, but that is going to keep that area secure for Morax, keep that eco online. And speaking of eco, Morax is up to 61 mass per tick and 69 there for Mephi. So not a huge amount in it. Both these guys managing to take most of their mixes. In fact, just a little bit remaining, and a little bit over here that Morax has not managed to complete. Actually, it looks like the engineer was pulled off that order there. Okay, so we've got this army advancing now, and that is going to range fire down on Mephi's tanks. Mephi does want to keep backing those guys up. He doesn't have the numbers that he needs to be able to repel that right now. So actually, Morax, there's no defense. Well, there's a single Tick 1 point defense, but there are artillery in the mix, so there's some Medusas in here. Morax definitely could have a bit of a push down the right-hand side now and put a little bit more pressure on Mephi, because Mephi, he would have to pull a lot of units away from the center to be able to defend that. But if Morax gives him too much breathing room, there will be enough coming out of these factories back here to secure the area. Mephi still holding on to this zone here with just a handful of T1. I wouldn't be surprised actually if we saw a bit of T2 hitting the field any second now. We've got a Tech 2 engineer out there. We've got his factory HQ up the front here that is starting off getting to work on strikers. And up in the north we have got the HQ over here. Does he have any Tech 2 engineers? Of course he does. He's got a Tech 2 power generator underway. He's also got a attack missile defense, which is very smart indeed. And he is now pumping out rhinos. So we should pretty soon see pillars running headfirst into rhinos. Both these guys not going for the plateaus just yet. These guys are still completely vacant, and there's probably just a few more mixes on Morax's side of the map, which probably should be not vacant, but are. Mephi thinking about having another push up the right hand side here. It's looking a little bit like he's got a numerical advantage. He probably can push through. He doesn't want to allow the center to gather too much. He's got a pretty decent little bunch of T1. There is a Tick 1 point defense as well to support those guys, but I don't think he's quite got enough to hold the center. And actually Morax maybe thinking about moving a little bit more towards the center. He is going to be grabbing a gun upgrade right now, so that is going to mean that he could push up the center pretty hard. That could be a little bit of a problem for Mephi, because other than the ACU, the numbers are reasonably even. Mephi does have the advantage on the right hand side though. That could be a little bit of a problem for the eco over here, and we can see Morax actually immediately responding by pulling all of these combat units away from the center and pulling them across to the right hand side to try and repel this assault. He will have the numbers to do it if he can pull all of those guys in, which it looks like he's going to be able to do, but I'm not sure that that leaves him enough in the center. And actually Mephi would have a little bit of an opportunity to get in the center now and cause a little bit of damage. There are a few rhinos in there though in the mix. Those guys will deal with the strikers pretty quickly, and this actually could be a little bit of a disaster for Mephi. He could be doing nothing but feeding reclaim to Morax, because he is getting those units sandwiched in between a couple of armies there from Morax, and they are going to start doing a lot of damage. Mephi is taking the opportunity to move up the center here. He's thinking about it. Morax redirects a whole bunch of those units that were headed across to the right to come and fend off the center here. So that means that Mephi is actually going to have to pull back in the center here, but it does give him a slight advantage on the right hand side. So it does put Mephi in a really good position, and we can see there are actually some pillars in the mix as well, and there are actually no rhinos in there, so no rhinos have made it across to the right hand side yet for Morax, and that does mean that Morax in a little bit of difficulty if Mephi decides to keep pressuring here. So a very nice play there from Mephi, pushing in the center as well as on the right, drawing those troops back away from the right that we're reinforcing, and that leaves this expansion very, very exposed. In fact, there's hardly any units left, and we can see a whole stack of emergency point defense going down there from Morax. So Morax is definitely on the defensive on this side of the map. The commanders are coming into contact now. The ACUs both fronting. We're sitting at 14,800 max HP for Mephi and only 10k max HP for Morax. That is a big disadvantage there in ACU on ACU combat. There are a stack of pillars in the mix here. How many are there? Looks to be half a dozen or so pillars. They are going to be very, very beefy. They've just got a ton of HP on them. They will help press this ACU. It looks like Mephi not quite wanting to make any more pressure on the ACU right now. He's continuing to just push on the right hand side. All of these pillars just making an absolute meal of the expansion that Morax had over here, and we can see the income game is starting to get away from Morax just a little bit. Mephi sitting on 99 mass per tick, and Morax, well, he's sitting on, well, about 62 mass per tick, so almost a 2-to-1 mass advantage to Mephi. That is going to make it very difficult for Morax to keep up with the production. Morax is going to sit in here with his ACU and just plink away at range with that on all of the units from Mephi, trying to do as much damage to that army as possible. But he needs to act pretty quickly, because now that Mephi is sitting on a big eco advantage, he is breaking through the lines. That is going to leave Morax without a lot of options pretty soon. So Morax just trying to get in here and deal with it. There are a bunch of lobos coming in range of the Tech 1 point defense. That is a bit of a mistake there from Mephi. Those lobos need to sit back and deal ranged damage to those point defense to take them out without getting hit themselves. That didn't happen, and all of those lobos go down. It looks like the next amount of pressure is going to be applied here to Morax over on this production facility. He has got 7 land factories in there. He is, well, does he have enough to spam out of all of these factories right now? He's only sitting on 55 mass per tick, so he probably doesn't quite have enough income to actually run all these guys anyway, and they are mostly paused here, so these guys are all not actually producing right now. That's a little bit of a problem for Morax. He's overbuilt factories. He no longer has the eco to support it. His eco is on the down. He's down to 55 while Mephi is up to 105, so it's just getting away a little bit from Morax. He's bringing his ACU across to try and deal with this incursion, so he's run out of options on the right hand side here. He's having to resort to his ACU. That leaves him very, very vulnerable over here to the assault force from Mephi, and we can see just how many pillars. There's just a fantastic amount of pillars now that Mephi has accumulated. He's also building triads with that ACU, so he's going to put down a bunch of Tech 2 point defense. They're going to be able to sit back at range and absolutely demolish everything that Morax has got, and down goes that power generator to a tactical defense. We can see the empty spot where the defense went. The power is going down, so Morax, he was on 920 with that power generator that just died, so that's going to bring him down to 420. Very, very problematic now for Morax. He is actually going to find himself with a stack of gunships on his case as well. He does have some flak, which is a very nice thing to have when gunships come knocking at the door. Those gunships are going to start taking a ton of damage from the flak cannon. Not sure if it's going to survive too long. No, down it goes. Mephi just leaving these guys on the right just to deal the damage while he pushes on the left. He is making absolute meal of Morax's base at this point, and those gunships are now free to hammer away at that ACU. Morax only still sitting on, well, 11k max HP. There are now 5-6 gunships bearing down on him. He is down into the yellow, 4100 HP. Very, very quickly losing health. He is under too much pressure and not enough eco to fight back. And there we have it. Alright, so there we have it. Mephi managing to take out Morax, which was not completely unexpected. The rating difference did definitely lend an advantage there to Mephi. Alright, so Mephi and Nexus of Reality both successful in their campaigns here on the Goodlands. That means they're going to be pushing through to the next round and keeping their hopes and dreams alive, while Morax and Blaudier are dropped down into the bottom bracket. They're going to have to fight extra hard now to keep their dreams alive of qualifying for the Legend of the Stars end of year tournament. Alright. That is the end of this match. Let's carry on with the next one.